Hey guys, welcome back. You know what we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what's happening in here and what's happening in here that isn't true. I've been doing a lot of reflecting this past week, and I think that what's happening in your head and in your heart is deceiving you to think that you are not enough sometimes. Maybe I dare say all the time. And there's a reason why we listen to those thoughts in our head. Sometimes that's that we don't feel worthy. So we chase things that make us feel worthy. We exalt other people's opinions of us instead of our own Creator's opinion of us. There's a Bible verse that says you cannot serve both God and mammon. Maybe the word's marmon, but mammon. It's translated sometimes or interpreted, you cannot serve both God and money. It's a God that represents, I'm just going to paraphrase, money. You cannot serve your Creator wholeheartedly while also being a slave to the things and temporary pleasures that money can buy. You can absolutely have pleasure and blessings that involve money. I am not whatever about the poverty mindset, but when you are serving the things that money can buy instead of putting the Lord your God first and foremost as the Lord of your life and letting your Creator tell you what you're worth, you're selling yourself short. You're living a life only half full because those things hold you back. Those things have held me back. And I realize that I've been holding myself, other people's opinions, oftentimes on a silver platter, while my Creator is sitting at a table reserved for me saying, you are worthy. And I keep grabbing these dirty dishes that say, well, do more, look better, be skinnier, work harder, be the best, all these things, perfectionism, all these things that we believe because the world around us tells us, screams in our face actually, that you are not enough and that you can never measure up. And guess what? You can never measure up to those standards. And that's why oftentimes we numb those feelings. We numb those feelings of unworthiness that you will never measure up. Sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's alcohol, sometimes it's shop therapy. It can be anything that we use to numb the pain of never measuring up is just another buffer that we put in front of us and between us and experiencing full relationship with our Creator. And it hit me this week like a ton of bricks that God cannot invite those unwanted party guests. They are uninvited at the dinner table. He set a table for one with you. He's set a table for one with me, and it has a sign on it that says reserved. And as long as we keep trying to bring those guests that have not been invited to this private party, this private dinner between you and God for intimacy, for communion with Him, He says, I'm sorry, but they're not welcome here. And He wipes those plates off the table and says, come back without them. And we continue to bring them in the door and say, can we just please bring a guest? And He says, I'm sorry, you're going to have to please wait to be seated with me because I want you. I want your heart, I want your eyes, your attention. And we keep getting distracted. And I realized in my own life that accidentally became, honestly, a false idol of sorts. Not even of sorts. It's become a false idol of caring so much about what everybody else thinks to the point where I've pushed out what God thinks. And so I've let those thoughts and opinions supersede what my Creator thinks about me. And it should be like that. And actually, those should be over there. They don't matter. And I just want to challenge you in your heart. And that's tying that into you can't serve God and money. If each one of us was to open up a bank statement or a credit card statement and look at where our money goes, that might hint at, one, what we're seeking to fill a void that cannot be filled with anything other than the love of our Creator. So we're going to keep seeking in vain. That hole is going to keep spilling out and emptying, and we're going to keep trying to fill it up with something different, trying something different. But I want to tell you, because this is happening in my life right now, I'm going to be the vulnerable one and start the conversation, it's going to return void all the time until we pause enough and create the space in our lives to seek the love of our Father, our Heavenly Father. And even when it comes to, what our paycheck says, that might be the thing that we're dousing the pain with. What are we doing? Where's our money going? What are the distractions that we're putting in our lives? None of it by itself is bad. Going shopping is not bad. Having a nice vacation is not bad. None of it is bad in and of itself. It's that we need to be honest with ourselves first, though, is that inadvertently or subconsciously even covering and masking a sincere, authentic relationship with your Father in heaven, with your Creator. And only when we're willing to pull open that curtain, that is a hard curtain to pull open, because it is the most vulnerable you'll probably ever find yourself being. But if you are willing to open that curtain and invite your Father in heaven, who you can trust, to talk to you in prayer, say, God, show me those things that are keeping me from having intimacy with you, from having relationship with you. This is why this is why money is talked about the most in the Bible, is because God knows that it is a spiritual thing way more than it is just, money by itself is inanimate. It isn't good or bad. It's what we do with it and how we use it. So the love of money is the root of all evil. Because of the love of money, we are driven to do things that, without putting God first in our lives, including our finances, we'll find ourselves pulled away in every other direction but towards God and what He has for us. So when we invite God into our finances and we start getting generous and trusting God with our finances, it unlocks a threshold. It breaks a ceiling that we've been living under, and it helps us to experience life more fulfilling. And that is why I will show up on this channel week in and week out, inspiring you, hoping to inspire you that there is so much more to life than one, waking up, going to work, paying the bills, missing time with your family, possibly saying no to the things that really matter, because the things that have been numbing the pain possibly have screamed louder. So we give a little bit of our paycheck to those things temporarily, and we find ourselves paying for them years and years and years later. It is possible to dig yourself out of that, but we need to be able to go here, and we need to be able to go here before we can go here and fix what's the behavior problem. It's because this is driving it and this is driving it. If we turn our hearts and our minds over to God and say, God, seek and search me out and show me what doesn't honor you, show me what's not good and pleasing and pure and perfect, then we can start the transformation. And your behavior changes when your heart changes. Transformation happens when this changes and when this changes. It starts here, and then here, and then we start changing it there. So I'm coming to you vulnerable. This is just brushed out hair. So you know what my voice wants to say is, you're not showing up as your best self. But I'm showing up for you as my authentic self, because it matters to me that you don't sit there and judge yourself because of what you think others are going to think of you. Who cares? Who cares? It only matters who your Creator, who wove you together in your mother's womb, cares about you. You are not an accident. You are not a surprise. Guess what? When two people get together and do the dinky dink, you're going to have a chance at making a baby. So it might have been an irresponsible thing. If you were ever told that, the two human beings that brought you into this world might not have expected that. But God, your Creator, absolutely did. And you are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are not a burden. You are not inconvenience. You are worthy. And you have a purpose that you were put on this earth for. So let's start taking those steps together. Let me come alongside you and show you each baby step that you can start taking in a practical way to start dropping those chains, stepping into your purpose, saying yes to what matters most, and saying no thank you to the things that don't belong in your life. And it's a process, let me tell you that. So don't beat yourself up if you're finding yourself stumbling a little bit. It's a process. So give yourself grace, because by all means, you are going to need the grace. This is a marathon, not a sprint, But let's work on what's happening in here. Let's work on what's happening in here so that you can do the things, as a result, start changing the behavior to make a difference, to start taking control of your finances, to start living a life with purpose, on purpose, like your Creator planned for you, because you are supposed to do big things on this earth. And I want to come alongside you and support you and cheer you on that journey. So I hope this inspires you. Drop it in the chats. Call out those lies and say no more. Put it in the comments. What's the lie that you've been believing that you're going to cancel right now? What's something that's been holding you back that you're going to cancel right now, and replace it with truth? You are not the things that the world tells you are. Our world tells us so many negative things, and we need to start flipping the script, right? So get in the Bible. Start reading the promises of God, of who He says you are. You are a child of God. You are here on purpose. So with that said, it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Taking those baby steps towards taking control of your finances and towards doing the hard work right in here. That is not always easy, but I promise you that is always worth it. So thank you for always joining me. I love having you here with me on this journey that I'm on too. So let's come around each other as a community, lift each other up. I think that's what community is the best thing for, is lifting each other up. We don't need to tear each other down. There's plenty of that out there. So let's come around each other, lift each other up, inspire each other, and spur each other on. Iron sharpens iron. So get out there, go do that next thing that's on your heart. Go ahead, open up your bank statement. Maybe do that inventory of where does my bank statement say my priorities are. All right? Do the hard thing. So until next time, thanks again, and I'll see you next week.